Hello viewers. In this video, I'm sharing latest Windows Server interview questions and its answers which are being asked in year 2024. Keep watching my videos for latest updates in interview patterns. Subscribe to my channel and click on notification bell for latest video updates. Let's begin with the video.
Question 1. What is Kerberos? Answer. Kerberos is an authentication technology used by Microsoft Windows and other OS types like Apple OS, Linux, Unix and so on. Question 2. Explain difference between Kerberos and NTLM. Answer. NTLM is an older authentication technology. NTLM stands for NT-LAN Manager. The biggest difference between two systems is the third-party verification and stronger encryption capability in Kerberos. Question 3. Explain Kerberos authentication steps. Answer. Kerberos process has below steps in authentication. 1. Client requests an authentication ticket, TGT, from the Key Distribution Center, KDC. 2. The KDC verifies the credentials and sends back an encrypted TGT and session key. 3. The TGT is encrypted using the Ticket Granting Service, TGS, secret key. 4. The client stores the TGT, and when it expires the local session manager will request another TGT. This process is transparent to the user. 5. The client sends the current TGT to the TGS with the service principal name, SPN, of the resource the client wants to access. 6. The KDC verifies the TGT of the user and that the user has access to the service. 7. TGS sends a valid session key for the service to the client. 8. Client forwards the session key to the service to prove the user has access, and the service grants access. Question 4. What is the encryption type used by Kerberos to encrypt session ticket TGT? Answers. Encryption types Kerberos can be configured to use are DES, RC4, AES-128, AES-256. The group policy setting allows you to set the encryption types that the Kerberos protocol is allowed to use. If it is disabled, then the computers running Windows Server 2008 R to Windows 7 and Windows 10 will be forced to use the AES or RC4 cryptographic suites. If you don't select any of the encryption types, computers running Windows Server 2008 R to Windows 7 and Windows 10 might have Kerberos authentication failures when connecting with computers running non-Windows versions of the Kerberos protocol. Example, devices like VPN appliance, storage appliance, vCenter appliance, VROPS appliance, ESXi hosts, etc. GPO path. Computer configuration /Windows settings /security settings /local policies /security options /network security. Configure encryption types allowed for Kerberos. Question 5. What is SPN, Service Principal Name? Answer. A Service Principal Name, SPN, is a unique identifier of a service instance. Kerberos authentication uses SPNs to associate a service instance with a service sign-in account. Doing so allows a client application to request service authentication for an account even if the client doesn't have the account name. If you install multiple instances of a service on computers throughout a forest, each instance must have its own SPN. If there are multiple names that clients can use for authentication, a service instance can have multiple SPNs. For example, because an SPN always includes the name of the host computer on which the service instance is running, a service instance might register multiple SPNs, one for each name or alias of its host. Before the Kerberos authentication service can use an SPN to authenticate a service, the SPN must be registered on the account object that the service instance uses to sign in. A given SPN can be registered on only one account. For Win32 services, A service installer specifies the sign-in account when an instance of the service is installed. The installer then composes the SPN and writes them as a property of the account object in Active Directory domain services. If the sign-in account of a service instance changes, the SPN must be re-registered under the new account. Note, when a client wants to connect to a service, it locates an instance of the service, composes an SPN for that instance, connects to the service, and presents the SPN for the service to authenticate. Question 6. What is CA server? Answer. The Certificate Authority server generates a root certificate for digitally signing other certificates, generating PKI key pairs, and also signing firmware updates, code as well as other items that require a digital signature. Question 7. What is USN, update sequence number? Answer. Each domain controller holds a local USN counter that gets incremented by each write to the DC's database replica. A digression between current and original simply means that the object was changed since creation. We can inspect the USN at the last write time for each attribute on an object with below repadmin command. Repadmin shows meta DC01 CN is equal to some object, OU is equal to computers, DC is equal to domain, DC is equal to TLD. The command for output of shows meta from each domain controller, USNs, should vary by DC. Repadmin shows meta asterisk CN is equal to test user, OU is equal to users, DC is equal to domain, DC is equal to TLD. PowerShell command to displays the highest update sequence number, USN, for the specified domain controller. Get-add replication to dateness vector table, target corp, DC01. USN can be checked on Object Properties tab as shown in this slide. Question 8. What are FSMO roles in Active Directory? Answer. FSMO means Flexible Single Master Operator. There are 5 FSMO roles in Active Directory as listed below in list. Schema Master, Domain Naming Master, RID Master, Infrastructure Master, PDC Emulator. Schema Master, it is a forest level FSMO role. It defines objects' attributes. When we upgrade schema, it adds more attributes to objects, like first name, last name, telephone number, so on. Domain Naming Master. Domain Naming Master is an forest-level FSMO role. It is required to add new or remove old domains. It ensures that each domain in the forest has a unique name. The Domain Naming Master can also add or remove cross-references to domains in external directories. RID Master, it is a domain-level FSMO role. RID Master holds RID pool. It is responsible for processing RID pool requests from all DC in the domain. Each user, group and other security principal is assigned a unique security identifier, SID, when it is created, one component of which is a unique RID. Therefore, each DC needs a pool of RID it can assign to the objects it creates. When it runs low, it requests another RID pool from the RID master. Infrastructure Master, it is a domain-level FSMO role. It is responsible for updating an object's SID and distinguished name in a cross-domain object reference. In particular, it makes sure that names, rather than cryptic SID, appear in your access control lists, ACL. This role should be assigned to a DC that is not a global catalog, GC, server, unless all the DC in a domain host the global catalog. PDC Emulator, it is a domain-level FSMO role. It is responsible for synchronizing time, which is vital for the integrity of many processes. including Kerberos authentication. The PDC emulator of a domain is authoritative for that domain. The PDC emulator for the domain at the root of the forest is authoritative for the enterprise. It should be configured to collect the time from an external source. The PDC emulator is particularly important for password changes and failed authentication events. Password changes processed by other DC in the domain are replicated preferentially to the PDC emulator. 2. When an authentication attempt fails due to an incorrect password, the failure is sent to the PDC emulator before the failure message is issued to the user. 3. Account lockouts are processed on the PDC emulator. Question 9. What are steps to move FSMO roles? Answer. There are two ways to move FSMO roles. One is using GUI and other is using ntdsutil command. Below is the way to move FSMO roles using GUI option. Transferring schema master role -I. With enterprise level access, to move roles, we use command netdam query FSMO on elevated command prompt. This will give the name of domain controllers on which these FSMO roles are present. 2. We will register schema management DLL file with below command to move schema role. Reg svr32 schmmgmt.dll. 3. Open blank MMC. Add Active Directory schema in MMC. It will open Active Directory schema console. 4. Right-click on Active Directory schema and click on Change Domain Controller. We can specify required domain controller name or we can select domain controller from the listed domain controllers. 6. In the console tree, right-click Active Directory schema, then click Operation Master. 7. Click on Change. 8. Click OK to confirm we want to transfer role, and then click Close. Transferring domain naming master role -I. Go to Administrative Tools. Click on Active Directory Domains and Trust. 2. Right-click Active Directory Domains and Trusts, and then click Connect Domain Controller. 3. We can specify required domain controller name or we can select domain controller from the listed domain controllers. 4. In the console tree, right-click Active Directory Domains and Trusts, and then click Operations Master. We click on Change. 6. Click OK to confirm we want to transfer role, and then click Close. Transferring PDC emulator, RID Master, Infrastructure Master role -I. Go to Administrative Tools. Click on Active Directory Users and Computers. Right-click Active Directory Users and Computers, and then click Connect Domain Controller. 3. We can specify required domain controller name or we can select domain controller from the listed domain controllers. 4. In the console tree, right-click Active Directory Users and Computers, and then click Operations Master. We click the appropriate tab for the role that you want to transfer, RID, PDC, or Infrastructure. Click on Change. 6. Click OK to confirm we want to transfer role, and then click Close. Transferring FSMO roles using Command Prompt. I. Open Command Prompt in elevated mode with enterprise level access. 2. Type ntdsutil, hit Enter. 3. Type roles, hit Enter. 4. Type connections, hit Enter. We type connect to server XYZ. XYZ is the name of the DC that you want to assign the operation master role to. 6. Type Q, hit Enter. 7. Type transfer PDC or RID master or naming master, hit Enter. 8. Type seize PDC or RID master or naming master. In case we need to seize FSMO roles, hit Enter. 9. Type FSMO maintenance. To see a list of roles that you can transfer or seize, hit Enter. Kiss smiley type Q to quit from NTDS util prompt. Question 10. How to troubleshoot GPO issues? Answer. Below are the steps to do investigation and identifying reasons for possible issues. I. Check event logs. It will have event ID and reasons where GPO processing is failing. Path is. Go to Event Viewer, Local, select Windows Logs, then go to System. Go to Event Viewer, Local, select Windows Logs, then go to Application. Go to Event Viewer, Local, select Applications and Services Logs, then go to Microsoft, then go to Windows, then go to Security Audit Configuration Client, then go to Operational. 2. We can force system to sync with domain controller time. System time should not differ more than 5 minutes. Use command w32tm/resync and reboot system. 3. Check net logon path is accessible for specified GPO path from system. System should be able to access full network path to the gpt.ini as user must be able to read gpt.ini file. //dcname/sysvol/domain/policies/guid/gpt.ini. 4. We can see group policies getting applied on system by running command gp-result/r in elevated command prompt. We can save RSOP details in HTML file by running command gpresult/h%temp%/gp-result.html. 6. We can view RSOP result in console using command rsop.msc. 7. We can enable verbose group policy service debug logging by adding key diagnostic and sub-key GP-SVC debug level. Below is the path to enable it. HKY local machine/software/Microsoft/Windows NT/current version/. Add new key diagnostics. Under Diagnostic, right-click and create sub-key. Select new D-word key GP-SVC debug level. In value data box, type 30002 hexadecimal. Then, view the gp-svc.log file in the following folder: %win-dir%/debug/user mode. 8. We can enable verbose logging for GPO processing using below commands as well. md%win-dir%/debug/user mode. Reg add hklm/software/Microsoft/Windows NT/current version/diagnostics/vgp-svc debug level/treg word and value is 0x00030002. 9. Path from where we can find logs to analyze the GPO issue. %temp%/application.evtx. %temp%/system.evtx. %temp%/grouppolicy.evtx. %temp%/gp-extensions.reg. %temp%/gp-result.txt. %temp%/gp-result.html. %win-dir%/debug/user mode/gp-svc.log. Kiss smiley. Additionally, we can see order in which GPOs are getting implemented. Or, is there any other GPO which is overwriting the required GPO settings? 11. Lastly, delete GPO files from client machine from below location and run gp update/force. It will recreate all deleted GPO files. C:/Windows/System32/Group Policy. C:/Windows/System32/Group Policy users. Stay tuned in for next upcoming video series of recent interview questions asked by interviewers in 2024. All the best for your interview. We will help you to be prepared with latest unexpected question series and you will be able to answer them successfully.